thought I might be able to finish now that I've done all the 4 pillars and everything. And I thought, well, I'll go for a walk downtown to this shop, number 8 it's called, where my chairs come from. Maybe there's something I'm missing, maybe I need to get something else, yeah. And so I went down there and had a look around the shop, and I see the chair's no longer in the shop, so he must have the chair in his van. And anyway, I didn't see anything else in the shop, so I came walking back, and I met this old guy. He's the oldest man I know here in Bromyard. He's nearly 90, I think, 85, something like this. And we had a little bit of a chat, and he was mentioned to me about the African people. Now there was 500 of them on this barge thing, and they've heard today that they found Legionnaire's disease on the barge, and they've got to get them all off. Because this barge is an old thing. It should have been condemned. You know, it's had like bad people. It's a demonic environment. You know, it's been a demonic environment with loads of drinking. It's been used by oil rig people, all sorts of people. It's been used for prison. It's been used for all sorts of things. And it was all rotting and looking bad when it, you know, before they did it up and used it for this purpose. And so it's just corrupted, really. People think that they can take shortcuts, put human beings in this place. You can't do this. And so we were talking, and he said, I don't know what the solution is. I said, well, I do. Well, I do. And I told him about my trip to Africa and what I learned from Africa, and about how they gave me land and I didn't have any money, and I eventually was repatriated here. And so he knew that story already, but I was just reminding him of the main parts of it. And he said to me, he said, how old are you now? I said, well, nearly 70. He said, well, you've got time enough left to do that. It was almost like a challenge, yeah. And I came back here and I cleaned up, threw the rubbish out and everything. Now I've got nothing to do. I'm still waiting for this chair to appear. This chair's still sitting there looking at me. And I thought, you know, this guy's giving me like a message. You know, that's what old people do. They give you like little messages. Yeah. I need to do the dream of an individualist. Okay, so this is the introduction. I'm going to go away, think about it for a bit, and then I'm going to come back and do it. Okay. You can see we've got a bit of water here, but we've got no fire. You know, the high church doesn't even have a candle. That candle I used, that was the only candle that I had for the whole year. I've been keeping it, and I lit it now because I felt like lighting it for this little job here, and so that's it for a year, 1 candle a year. And my lady always gives me candles. She brings me a candle, gives it to me. So last year I used 1 candle, this year I used 1 candle. So we're living in poverty, yet it's the duty of the people who have the money to make sure the church has enough money to do what it needs to do. And what happened to me when I was in Africa was that right at the end of my journey, I found myself in the place where I belong. And this is a place called Sarah Mamadou. And the people in this place are just all together as a group, had just built an animal house, a place where they can put all their animals together. Like, not competing, my animal is your animal, you know, not that. It's like a movement, a new movement of working together. And I spent a lot of time talking to them and expounding the philosophies which were then just starting to appear in my mind. And I had the idea that what they needed was a university, not to teach what a traditional university teach, but to teach the trades, to teach them how to make tools and to make their tools and start to create the necessary foundations for a divine soul society, so that they could do everything for themselves. Because what had happened to them is the West had come along, taught them that they were going to have this affluent society, and that if they used tin on their roof, this would be much easier. It's the shortcut, to putting grass on it, because the grass needs to be replaced every 15 years or so, 15, 20 years sometimes they get away with it. And anyway, they replace their buildings with bad little concrete buildings with, and sometimes just they took the roundhouses and just put concrete in place and propped them up with concrete and put steel roofs on the top. Steel roofs really hot in Africa, terrible. And also, they probably didn't paint the roofs, didn't think they needed to paint them, couldn't afford to buy the paint. And these roofs have rusted, they have a lot of rain in the rainy season, and these roofs have just lasted just a small time, 10 years if you're lucky, 5 if you got the really worst possible steel that they ripped you off selling you. And so, what they didn't think when they did the steel roof thing, what they didn't think was that they were ever going to have to do it again. They were told this is going to solve their problem. They just put the steel roof up and that's the end of it. No. Now you're stuck with the chain. Now when your steel roof goes, you have to find the money to buy more steel. And there is no money, There's no money. Because what they normally do is, they normally just grow some food to eat and make everything out of the natural resources of the area. They use the wood, they split the trees to make the roof rafters, and they make clay blocks to make the walls. It's all done, it's all natural, and it doesn't cost anything. And so they're discovering that over time, because this is the older generation's done that and they're all dying off now. Now it's the young people coming forward who've been brought up reading and writing in schools. These people, all they're interested in now is motorbikes and stuff like this. And they've got no money to do this. And if they get a motorbike, if they really go to spend a lot of time where they think they're going to get a motorbike and everything's going to be fine. But no, they run the motorbike, they put some bad fuel in it because you only get bad fuel over there. And then, 2 or 3 years later, they don't know about changing the engine oil and stuff like that. And it's finished, and they've got no tools to fix it. Where do you start with all this? And so what they're doing is they move, the only thing that they can do is move to the cities. So the cities are the country's being depopulated, the cities are growing rapidly with all these like shanty towns. And it's just refuge and filth. There's no proper system. The city hasn't got the usual city things that you need in cities to keep the diseases at bay. And so I was worried. I had to spend about 3 weeks in the capital of the Gambia, and I was concerned that I might get sick there, just being there, because it was so bad, the place, just to breathe the air. And all the trucks are all belching out diesel fumes, and I got cancer after being there, and part of it was probably breathing all the particulate matter from all the trucks that were passing me on my bicycle. So what to do about this? And all these African people, all they can do after living in the cities, they're realising there's no future for them there. All they can do is leave and come over here, because we're the ones that created this system. We are the ones that carry the karma. We're responsible for them. Now, what we really should do is we should go back there. A whole bunch of us should get on sailing boats and sail. The Gambia's a river. The Gambia's just a river. It just follows the river all the way along. We go take our sailing boats and sail up the river with people who know all the stuff, like solar panels and welding and blacksmithing, and they can make tools, make our own tools, and start to produce the basic essentials teach the people how to produce the basic essentials so they can create the basis for a technically capable civilization without taking it to extremes. Yeah? They can grow it into extremes if they want to. What they need is they need to know, I need to be able to make metal objects, to know how to cast, forge, build stuff, make the tools and inputs they use to work the ground, the carpentry, to do the carpentry. They haven't even got a saw. Most of them don't have a saw. There might be one saw in the village, you know. You have no idea how bad it is. And they need help, because we've taken away from them. They used to know how to do everything, but now it's been like a number of generations, and they're losing it. They're losing the ability. None of them can build their own. The first thing they've lost is that nobody can build the roofs anymore with the grass. They used to collect the grass, build the roofs. Nobody can do that anymore. They can still make blocks. They still know how to make blocks, but now they're teaching them how to make concrete blocks. And concrete blocks are a problem because they don't wash away like mud blocks do. Mud blocks are far better. It don't cost you anything, and it doesn't like create a bad environment. If you look at the places there where they've used concrete blocks, what happens is after a certain number of years they start to get black mold on them, and all the trees start dying around them. It's because they turn the place into a demonic environment simply by putting the concrete block stuff into the environment. It's necessary to understand this and to avoid the pitfall. Don't create the fallen and demonic places. Keep the places angelic. And so my dream is, and I said, okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So I said to them, if I had the money, if I could get people to support this mission, we could do this. And that was what I was working towards, creating this university place. And they gave me a piece of land. We established the land, we went and we dug a hole and we put some objects that I'd used on my bicycle trip, we put those in the hole and covered the hole up as a foundation stone for the university. So the land is there, they've given the land. They want this to happen, they want to do it. The whole village of Seramamadu wants this to happen. And at that point, some bad guy dobbed me into the police, got the police to come take me away, and they took me to the capital and kept me there, treated me well, you know, I can't complain about it, and organised through the British Embassy to put me on a flight, get me out of there, because it was time to come and do this work here, yeah. That's all it is. I know this, I know I'm always taken to where I need to be. And so I've been in England now for 2 or 3 years, and I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming next. I have my little boat. I don't know why I have a little boat. I just have a little boat that can sail. I could sail on a boat to the Gambia, yeah. And when I left, I spoke to the people there. I spoke to the big head honchos. I've spoken to the president of the Gambia. I've spoken to the chief of police in the capital of the Gambia. I've been in their security head office there and talked to all the people there. And I've said to them, the main man of the immigration of the Gambia, the head man, I've spoken to him personally. I asked him personally, I said, before I left, I said to him, if I can come back with some money, can I come back in? And he said to me, no problem at all. No problem at all. Okay, I haven't got any money, and I'm not allowed to have money. Yet the church can have money, and people could give money to the church, and this project could begin. People could give their time, they could donate their time, their expertise, those that have it, and those that have the money, maybe the elderly who are going out, they could donate the money, and we could do this project. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be me that does it. It could be done, people could pick it up if there was some funding for it. And the whole object is to create a divine civil society in Seramamadu as a shining example like you create an animal park to preserve the natural environment of the animals, you create a human park to preserve the natural society, the divine civil society of the African people. So that people can come from all over the world and inspect it and say, is our house in order? Is their house in order? Whose order is better than whose order? That's what it is. It's just an experiment, a scientific experiment. What would happen if there was no organization and humanity just let the will of divine nature reign? And freedom. And so, in the sort of words of Martin Luther King, I will end this video. Let freedom reign. Well, I thought that was the end of the video. I went away and started to think about it because I'd just heard what I'd said, started to make the video, and I realised that it's not so simple for me to receive money because I'm not supposed to have money, yeah? I live without money. And for a long, long time now, 20 years nearly, I haven't had money personally. If there's been any money or any help that's been given to me, it's been given to me through what's called a deacon. Now, a deacon is a lower member of the church that deals with the material world on behalf of the high church, so they don't have to touch any money. If they need anything, the deacon can provide the money to get it. If there's, like, you might need to buy something or something for the church, a new candle or something like that, what I mean? You know what I mean. So anyway, what happens is, if you just let nature organise it, you put somebody like me, you find yourself with a deacon, and the person doing it doesn't even know they're the deacon. It's really interesting. And I've had a few deacons, not many of them, one or two of them, 2 or 3 of them actually, over my time, and sometimes I've not had a deacon. And at the moment, my deacon, who doesn't know he's my deacon, is the man who helped me get onto an English pension. I got an English pension, and he helped me to do that. And at the time when I got my English pension, I needed a bank account, but of course they won't let you open a bank account. It's like the chicken and egg situation. And so what happened was he had a spare bank account that he wasn't using in his name, and so we gave that bank account to the pension people, and then the pension goes into that bank account, and then every month or every 2 months or whenever he's has the intuition to do it, and this guy is the most intuitive guy in the whole area here, more so even than the number 8 man, and I always trust his intuition. And so sometimes I'm tempted to say, David, have you got my pension yet? But normally it's a mistake on my part because I don't actually need it. He always does it when it's necessary. And sometimes I need no money now and more money later, and so he might wait a couple of months, suddenly send me 2 months worth, in one hit. So I can do something big like buy a boat or something like that, It's just the intuition of everybody working together. And so at one point I tried to change over this bank account, because I ended up opening a bank account, so I have my own bank account now, so he can send me money to my personal bank account, where my pension comes in, and that's what I use to pay for my boat, buy all the stuff that I need. Okay. And so it wouldn't be appropriate for me to have money paid into my account. That would be not allowed, okay? Not allowed. the only stuff that comes into my account is what I personally need in the moment. Yeah. And so I haven't spoken to the individual with the account, the deacon, because he doesn't even know he's a deacon for a start. But I'm sure it will work out in the end if some monies were to be received on behalf of the church project, and then he could filter those monies to me as and when his intuition told him to do it. Yeah. And so it's not me receiving the money, and if something happened to me, then the money would be in a separate account, but not really like there's no requirement to form an organisation, like, you know, because we're trying to avoid this organisation thing. It just could be in that account that was in that man's name. It was his name, deacon. You know what I mean? That's his job. It's just his account. Yeah. So that was the thought that came to me after thinking, how can I possibly receive money now, knowing that I'm not allowed to receive money and all the rest of it. And so it would be possible to do that, and then the money received could be used for this project. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at that at the moment and see what happens. It's enough of a start, it's enough of an option, an idea that, okay, we could find a way for people to donate to the project to allow this new Divine Civil Society experiment to proceed somehow. And then if we had a little bit of money, the people involved could have some of the expenses covered, yeah? Like if they needed food to eat whilst they were sailing in their little boats. They needed materials, if they needed to buy tools and that. We could acquire tools, we could buy some tools and load them up onto our boats and take them there, yeah? The basic tools that are required to start it out. And then we could end up having a flotilla of boats which then went out into the world to collect tools and bring them back again as and when we needed them, so that this could be an ongoing thing, and we could then, that would be a kind of a missionary work of the university to go to the people, get stuff and talk about what we're doing, invite people to come along, spread the word about what's going on there and let people come and see what we're doing as and when it evolves. It will take years, it will take lifetimes to evolve. If it was started, and the big thing is to have the land is there. There's a wonderful, wonderful, huge shade tree right there. It's a sacred spot here. It's a wonderful place. There are wild horses running around there. It's an amazing place. It's got trees, but you know the big problem is now, is one of the things they're doing at the moment is they're pulling all the trees out. All the trees are being pulled out and put on trucks and ferried out the country, and there's a whole gang of criminals there. I knew some of them who go and cut these trees down, and then they go across the border, cut down the protected forest and load it up and ship it through the Gambia on trucks, and all the time there's these trucks going up and down, and this road is just like 4 huge potholes. And these trucking companies, the people can't maintain the roads and nothing. It's just, you don't need the road in the end. It should be the river. And so this is an ideal place, the Gambia, because it's a river and you don't need a road. It used to be that their lives were based around the river. And then when they built the road, they had to move their villages, just have to leave the houses and go to the road and build more houses next to the road. They had to shift their entire villages because the economy had moved from the river to the road, and it was a bad move. It should have been water-based. That's the natural order. And so, to try to find where the natural order is and to stick with it and to advise the people. That's my job, is to advise the people which is the right way. Where is the error? Where is the correct method? Is it nature? Is it anti-nature? This is a job for me and for people that I teach what I know, so that in future what I've learned in my life doesn't get lost, and that it can be passed on from generation to generation. And we can work together with the Africans whose knowledge is also going to get lost in the next year, and they can teach us what we don't know, because they still know how to grow the food, how to mash it up and deal with it, you know, how to deal with it. There are many mango trees over there, yeah. The mango tree is the most amazing fruit in the world. This place is like paradise, yet it needs to be made. It needs to be, the human being needs to assist nature to help it to become a paradise, not to mess it up and turn it into something that's not a paradise. It's a refuse dump from a greed cult. All the plastic that's coming in, you can't have plastic stuff. We need to make these decisions. We're going to have plastic, we're not going to have plastic, we're not going to have plastic. This place has to have no plastic and show how you'd live without plastic. You know, the whole movement of today is plastic, because people have got these computer, what they call them, I don't know, printers, 3D printers now, and they print all this bad plastic stuff that just breaks. Fill their boat full of bad stuff that just break. The first storm you get, bang, it's gone. Young people are not being taught properly. They're having to teach themselves and learn from the beginning again, make the same mistakes they make in Africa. Let's all get together in Africa and let's sort it out. Let's solve this problem. So these Africans, they won't want to come over here. They want to come there, they want to stay there, where they've got their freedom, where they've got their land. Okay, that's enough. I think we have the idea. That's my dream, and I hope you share my dream. And if you share my dream, please help somehow. Thank you very much.
Where is the door? to you